Hey everyone, welcome to this Xamarin-Android 101 tutorial series. So in this tutorial series, I'm going to talk about how to write a Xamarin application, a Xamarin Android application to be more specific, right from the scratch. So if you're really interested about Android programming and at the same time you do have a lot of experience with .NET and want to learn more about how to use your .NET experience over cross-platform application, well, this is the best start for you. So as a part of this tutorial series, I'm going to show you how to make an Android application using Xamarin, something which is similar to this. So the app which you're able to see, it's running on an Android emulator, which I have programmed using Visual Studio. So first of all, I would like to inform that I'm not advertising anything about Big Bang Theory, but it's just that I like Big Bang Theory and I thought about picking this up as the topic for the particular app. So if you see, this is a simple application, nothing much, nothing specific, easy to make as well. And I guess this will be a really good point to start from. So here you see in this particular Android application, we have a title bar like this, few images, a lot of descriptions, and we have enabled the option of moving to the next screen like this. So if you see, this app gives you some description about the main characters of this play. So if you choose your buttons like this, it can work. And also once you reach the particular endpoint over here, so you won't be able to go to the previous slide because there is nothing in the previous one. And in the same way, if you go next, it will enable it. And finally, if you reach the end, it is supposed to disable it. So this is, we are going to design a very simple application, but again, a good point to learn. And on the process of learning, we will get to know a lot of things. And this knowledge you can use to make further beautiful and much more important and mission critical apps. So before starting with everything, first you have to get the initial prerequisites done, that is the initial setup. So before we start with anything, I would again advise you to look at this particular site. So this site gives you the entire detailed documentation of Xamarin with Android and how to set up, how to write your first program, and it talks about actually everything. So if you go over here, installing and setting up Xamarin, you will get a detailed information of how to do it in Windows installation, how to set up your Android SDK, and how to set up your Android emulator. So there are certain dependencies for starting your Android emulator. So you will get all this information over here in this site. So this is about the initial setup. Now you will require Visual Studio 2015 and above with the required tools. I'm going to show you how. As you can see, this is my Visual Studio 2017 edition. So for this particular application, you need at least Visual Studio 2015 Enterprise or above. So for me, I have all the required tools and features installed. But for you, in order to just to validate, you can go to Tools, go to Options, and from there you can scroll down right away to the bottom and see Xamarin has been installed for me. But in your case, let's say if it is not installed, you have to make sure that these things are installed in your system. So you need to have your Java environment installed, your Android SDK installed, and Android NDK installed. So for this particular tutorial series, since we are not focusing on iOS applications, Xamarin for iOS need not be installed, but for the Android part, we have to get it installed. So in case if it's not installed, you have to go to Tools, you have to go to Get Tools and Features. And since I have already opened this window, I can show you from here. So once you select Get Tools and Features, you will get this particular window. And from there, you need to install this mobile development with C++ and .NET Core cross-platform development. So basically, this is the main important package or the tool required with all these features installed. Make sure that your Android SDK setup is done properly. You have your emulator as well, because finally we will run the app in the emulator. And for the emulator, we need few hardware settings as well. So as I have informed you before, you can go to the detailed description one, the site which I had shown, and from that documentation you will get all the information required to complete your setup. But yes, before starting with anything else, we need to make sure that the setup is completely done. So one thing I had forgot to mention, you have to make sure your mobile development with a .NET package or tool installed, because this is the main one with Xamarin and the required tools that are required. So yeah, this one I was talking about.